Let's talk about Atari. Have they set up a chess match? Now we know Atari got a long history in video games, whether that be the Atari 2600 or VCS as it was originally known, the 5600, 7800, whether that's arcade systems, whether that's the microcomputer systems such as the ST or XE. They're historically quite bold, firmly set as a success in many means. Now recently they've announced a few different systems, and the VCS has been out, the modern VCS has been out quite a while in Northern America. Doesn't appear as if it's going to Europe. They've got the At Game Systems Game Station. They got the 2600 Plus. Now all seems to be centered around the 2600 era, whether that's adaptations of those games or simply revisiting that era, revisiting that console. But prior to the Game Station or the 2600 Plus, they'd actually supported a British system, the Evercade. This being the Versus, there was a handheld before that, and there's currently the Experience. And on this system, we'll take cartridges in which Atari was actually deemed to be number one, the first cart. The latest news is Atari have pulled out of Evercade, deeming their Collection 1, Collection 2 home console cartridges, along with the arcade one and both the Atari Lynx cartridges, they're all going to be discontinued, or Evercade prefer to call it, legacy. Now, does that mean Blaze are in a chess battle with Atari? I don't think it's that simple. Now, I'm going to go off topic. Because on the Evercade, they started doing a new range of cartridges which are all blue. And it all kicked off with the C64 cartridge and its sequel, C64 Collection 2, which are all the Commodore cartridges, Commodore games, which is actually endorsed by Retro Games Limited, the makers of the C64, which is the miniature Commodore system, which for legal reasons they couldn't call Commodore, but that's a different story. So let's ignore the Evercade a second. Now Retro Games Limited which is the C64 Mini. Also made a big version of it with full working keyboard. And they released the A500 Mini, which I had to get licensing from Cloonto due to the Workbench operating system licensing they required from them. Though interestingly, they couldn't call it Amiga, so they had to stick to the A500 naming as opposed to Amiga 500. Of course, this is where it gets a bit more complicated. Because Evercade have now released blue cartridges for Team 17 and Delphine, which came out yesterday. They're actually branded Amiga. Again, they've had to go through, you see in the small print, Cloonto to get the licensing for Workbench. But the fact is, they've got Amiga literally printed on the front of the cartridge, which is something Retro Games Limited couldn't do. Retro Games Limited, on the other hand, have announced they will be making an A500 full size with working keyboard, but they have a project in between. What do they mean by that? I'm speculating where these guys have fallen out, Atari and Blaze. Retro Games Limited have picked up the ball. So whereas Ethacade had Atari plugged in, Atari have unplugged. I suspect they've plugged straight into Retro Games Limited. So I reckon there's going to be a Atari ST Mini through Retro Games Limited. Now, back to the chess match. Indirectly, Atari have set up a chess match. They're not fighting it. They've set up a match between Blaze and Retro Games Limited, an all British affair. They're fighting it out to the death. Now, it's only speculation, but what do you people think? Is that the truth? Have I just overthought stuff? Who knows? Who knows? The only people who really know is going to be Atari and Retro Games Limited.